I'm standing in the observation deck of the Meridian Accord, watching two fleets position themselves like chess pieces made of fire and metal, when Commander Selith Vri walks in and says the words that will ruin my life. "Marry me and I'll stop the war." Just like that. No preamble, no romantic lighting, just her, silhouetted against a viewport showing 17 human destroyers and 23 Kalhari dreadnoughts preparing to tear each other apart, with her luminescent skin doing that thing where it shifts from deep violet to anxious silver. I'm Dr. Marcus Webb, xenocultural liaison, and I've been trained for first contact scenarios, treaty negotiations, even hostage situations. Nobody prepared me for a marriage proposal from an 8-foot-tall alien commander, whose people communicate partially through skin bioluminescence, and who, 3 days ago, I accidentally called Your Royal Radiance, when the correct formal address is Your Radiant Royalty. But she still hasn't let me live that down. "You're joking," I say, because my brain has apparently decided humor is the appropriate response to a proposal that could end a war that's already killed 4,000 people. "I am incapable of joking about the harmonious provision clause," she says, and her skin flashes the deep orange that means she's annoyed but also, if I'm reading the patterns right, a little amused. Section 47 of the Treaty of Singing Stars states that if a formal matrimonial bond is established between ranking representatives of both civilizations, all hostilities must cease for a minimum of 2 solar cycles, while the bond is honored and evaluated. That's the most bureaucratic proposal I've ever heard. It's the only proposal you've heard today. It's also insane. She turns fully toward me, and the light from her skin casts moving shadows across the deck. The Kalhari don't have hair. Instead, they have these crystalline formations that grow from their scalps and refract light. Seliths are arranged in an elaborate crown pattern that denotes her status as Supreme Commander of the Third Fleet. Right now they're chiming softly, which means she's thinking hard about something. "The insanity," she says, "is that I have to propose this at all, but my government has invoked the clause. Your government is desperate enough to consider it. And we're the highest-ranking individuals in proximity who meet the biological compatibility requirements." Biological compatibility. We both breathe oxygen and can tolerate each other's presence for extended periods without medical intervention. The bar is quite low. That's when Arya, my AI assistant, chimes in through my neural implant with her impeccable timing. "Dr. Webb, your heart rate has increased by 47%. Should I alert medical?" "Arya, not now." Noted, logging this moment as not now number 412. Selith's skin ripples with the pale blue of curiosity. "You're speaking to your artificial companion." She likes to provide commentary during critical life moments. "How efficient. How mortifying." Selith moves closer, and I catch the scent that all Kalhari carry, something like thunderstorms and crushed mint. There is, however, one condition to this arrangement. And there it is, the catch, because of course there's a catch. What kind of condition? Her skin flashes through 3 colors I don't recognize before settling on a determined gold. For the marriage to be legally and spiritually valid under Kalhari law, you must complete the trial of absolute transparency. For 30 consecutive days, you cannot tell a single lie. Not to me, not to anyone, not even small social courtesies. Every untruth will be detected by the resonance arbiters and will invalidate the bond immediately. I stare at her. "You want me to be completely honest for 30 days? "Yes." "No white lies." "No, you look nice today when someone looks terrible." "No, I'm fine when I'm not fine." Precisely. That's psychological torture. That's marriage preparation in my culture. Her skin does this complicated shimmer that I've learned means she's being sincere. We believe that 2 people who cannot be truthful with each other have no business sharing a resonance bond. The war can wait 30 days, Dr. Webb. But deception cannot wait at all. I look out at the fleets again. Somewhere on one of those human ships is Captain Rodriguez, who sent me here with orders to establish peaceful dialogue and maybe don't start an interstellar incident. I'm pretty sure marrying the enemy commander counts as an incident, but technically it's a peaceful incident. If I say no, then we fight. Many die. The Kalahari withdraw from this sector, and your species loses access to the Singing Star's navigation routes, which I understand would devastate your colonial expansion for at least a generation. And if I say yes but fail the 30 days, the clause is void. We fight anyway, but at least we'll have tried. Arya pipes up again. Dr. Webb, I feel obligated to mention that your personnel file lists creative truth management as one of your diplomatic strengths. Arya, I will disable your commentary protocols. You've threatened that 247 times. I remain operational. Selith's crystals chime with what I'm starting to recognize as her version of laughter. I like your artificial companion. Everyone does, it's a problem. She extends her hand, 6 fingers slightly longer than mine, skin currently shifting through thoughtful silver. The Kalahari have a saying, truth is the only star that never dies. Will you take this risk with me, Marcus Webb? I notice she used my first name. She's never done that before. I take her hand. Her skin is warm, almost hot, and where we touch, I see faint patterns of light pulse in response. I'll do it, I say, but when this goes horribly wrong, I'm blaming you. I would expect nothing less. 3 weeks earlier, I didn't even know the Kalahari existed. I was on Europa Station, analyzing bacterial samples from the subsurface ocean, living my best quiet scientist life. Then Admiral Chen called me into her office and told me I was being reassigned to first contact duty because, and I quote, "You're good with weird situations and you don't panic when things get strange." 12 hours later, I was on the Meridian Accord, humanity's newest diplomatic vessel, heading toward a species that had appeared at the edge of our territory, destroyed 3 mining outposts in what they called defensive perimeter establishment, and then sent a message that translated roughly to, "We need to talk before this gets worse." The Kalahari, I learned during the 3-day journey, are what happens when you mix crystalline biology with mammalian warmth. They evolved on a planet with 2 suns and constant auroras, which explains why they communicate through bioluminescence as much as through speech. Their technology is based on harmonic resonance. Everything from their weapons to their food processors operates on precisely calibrated sound frequencies. They're also apparently very serious about contracts, clauses, and the exact wording of everything. I was briefed by Arya, who downloaded their entire cultural database into my neural implant with her usual efficiency. Question 12, she said during our prep session. If a Kalahari offers you flowering salt, what is the appropriate response? Accept it with both hands and bow twice. Incorrect. Accept it with both hands and bow 3 times while humming in the key of D-flat. How am I supposed to hum in D-flat? I can provide an auditory reference through your implant. Of course you can. When we finally docked with the Kalahari diplomatic station, a massive structure that looked like a musical instrument and an art gallery had a baby. I was met by a delegation of 7 officials, all of them tall and shimmering with different color patterns. They bowed. I bowed back, probably incorrectly. Arya helpfully informed me I just greeted them in a dialect that meant, "Hello, I am a small confused mammal." And then Selith walked in. She was taller than the others, her crystals arranged in that distinctive crown pattern, her skin shifting through colors so quickly it was like watching a sunset in fast forward. She looked at me with eyes that were completely black except for the pupils, which glowed with a soft amber light. "Dr. Webb," she said in perfect English with an accent that sounded like music, "welcome aboard the Resonance Eternal. I am Supreme Commander Selith Vree, and I will be your primary liaison during these negotiations. I hope your journey was tolerable." "It was fine," I said, which was technically a lie because I'd spent most of it motion-sick and anxious. Her skin flashed a brief red. "How interesting. Your biological markers suggest you experienced significant discomfort. Arya chimed in. The Kalhari can detect basic physiological stress responses, Dr. Webb. I'm adding ability to sense lies to your briefing notes. Now you tell me. Selith's crystals chimed. Is your artificial companion always this timely with information? She specializes in dramatic timing. But I will enjoy working with you both. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've learned that Kalhari negotiations involve a lot of sitting in rooms that smell like ozone and cinnamon, while officials debate the philosophical implications of territorial boundaries. I've learned that Selith drinks a beverage called Sharma that tastes like liquid starlight and burns going down. I've learned that, when she's frustrated, her skin turns a specific shade of teal that makes my chest tight for reasons I can't fully explain. I've also learned that despite being from species that almost killed each other, we somehow ended up having breakfast together every morning in the station's observation garden. It started by accident. I woke up early one day, couldn't sleep, wandered into the garden, and there she was, sitting on a bench designed for Kalhari proportions, watching the stars through the dome while holding a cup of Sharma. You're up early, I said. I don't require as much sleep as humans. You're up early. Stress dreams about accidentally starting a war. Relatable. I sat down on the bench. My feet barely touched the ground, and she handed me a cup of something warm. Try this. It's Murha, less aggressive than Sharma. Your species should tolerate it. I drank it. It tasted like honey and starlight and something I couldn't name. This is incredible. It's made from lunar flowers. They only bloom during eclipses. How do you harvest them? Very carefully and with excellent timing. The next morning I showed up again. So did she. We didn't talk much, just sat there drinking our respective beverages, watching the stars, occasionally commenting on the absurdity of our situation. By the 5th morning, it was a routine. By the 10th morning, I was looking forward to it more than anything else in my day. By the 15th morning, I realized I was in serious trouble, emotionally speaking. Arya, I said one night, alone in my quarters. Am I developing feelings for an alien military commander during a diplomatic crisis? Your neurochemistry suggests a 78% probability of what humans call romantic attraction. Yes. That's a terrible idea. Most romantic attractions are statistically. You're not helping. I'm being accurate. You requested accuracy. The morning after that conversation, Selith and I were in the garden again, and she said something that made my carefully controlled emotional state completely unravel. I've been thinking, she said, her skin doing this soft dawn pink thing that I'd learned meant she was being vulnerable. When this is over, whatever happens, I will miss these mornings. Yeah, I said, because my brain had apparently turned off. Me too. She looked at me with those glowing amber eyes. Your species has a concept called friendship, yes. We do. I believe we have achieved it. Something in my chest twisted. Just friendship. The question came out before I could stop it, and her skin flashed through 6 colors so fast I couldn't track them. For a long moment, she didn't respond. Then she stood up, her full height making me crane my neck. I should prepare for today's negotiations, she said quietly. She left before I could apologize or explain or do anything except sit there feeling like I'd just ruined something precious. Arya, bless her terrible timing, said, "That went well. Arya, I'm disabling your sarcasm protocols. You lack the administrative access to." I shut her off manually. The negotiations, as it turned out, were going nowhere. Both sides wanted peace, but neither side wanted to compromise on territory. The humans wouldn't give up the mining colonies. The Kalhari wouldn't withdraw their defensive perimeter. Every session ended with polite deadlock and increasing tension. On day 17, Admiral Chen sent me an encrypted message. "Webb, we're running out of time. The colonial authority is pressuring us to resolve this militarily. I need a breakthrough, or I need to recommend withdrawal and strategic repositioning, which is a polite way of saying prepare for war. Work your magic." I didn't have magic. I had a degree in xenobiology, a tendency to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and an increasingly complicated relationship with an alien commander who hadn't spoken to me outside of official negotiations since our garden conversation. On day 18, the Kalhari government invoked the Harmonious Provision Clause. On day 19, Selith proposed. On day 20, I said yes. The first rule, Selith says, leading me through the corridors of the Resonance Eternal, is that the trial begins immediately. No preparation period. No strategic planning. Starting now, every word you speak must be completely true. That seems unfair. Truth is never unfair. It simply is. We're heading toward the Chamber of Resonance Arbiters, where I'll be officially enrolled in the trial of absolute transparency. Arya, who I've reluctantly reactivated, is running a probability assessment of my success rate. Current odds of completing 30 days without lying, 12%. Arya, you're supposed to be encouraging. I'm supposed to be accurate. Would you like me to lie about your chances? The irony is painful. Selith's crystals chime. Your artificial companion has an excellent sense of dramatic irony. She's going to get me killed. Statistically unlikely. Emotional devastation is more probable. The Chamber of Resonance Arbiters is, like everything Kalhari, beautiful and vaguely threatening. The walls are made of some crystalline material that hums at a frequency I can feel in my bones. 3 arbiters, officials with skin that shifts between pure white and deep black, stand in a triangular formation around a central platform. The head arbiter speaks in a voice that sounds like a choir. Dr. Marcus Webb of Earth. You seek to undergo the trial of absolute transparency to establish a bond with Supreme Commander Selith Vree. Do you understand the terms? I do. Do you accept that any deception, no matter how small, will be immediately detected and will result in trial failure? I do. Do you enter this trial of your own free will? I glance at Selith. Her skin is doing something complicated, hope and fear and determination all mixed together. Yes, I say, and it's the absolute truth. The arbiters begin to hum, and the crystal walls respond, creating a harmony that makes my teeth ache. One of them approaches me holding a small orb that glows with the same amber light as Selith's eyes. Place your hand on the sphere of unwavering truth. I do. The moment my skin touches it, I feel something, like an electric current but gentler, warmer. The sphere begins to pulse in rhythm with my heartbeat. The sphere is now attuned to your specific biological and psychological patterns, the arbiter explains. It will resonate with truth and discord with falsehood. For the next 30 days, you will carry a resonance marker. They touch my temple, and I feel a small device attach itself there. That will alert the arbiters to any deception. What happens if I lie by accident? There are no accidents in truth, only choices. Selith steps onto the platform beside me. I will be subject to the same trial. It's only fair. I stare at her. You didn't mention that part. You didn't ask. The arbiters hum again, and Selith places her hand on the sphere. The light intensifies, and where our hands are close but not touching, I see patterns of light dancing between us. The trial begins now, the lead arbiter announces. May your truths be brave and your bond be worthy. We leave the chamber in silence. The resonance marker on my temple feels like a tiny weight, a constant reminder that I can't hide behind polite fictions anymore. So, I say as we walk back toward the diplomatic quarters, how does this actually work? Do I just tell the truth all the time? Yes. Even when someone asks if they look nice and they don't. Yes. Even when I'm asked questions I don't want to answer. Selith stops walking. You can choose not to answer. Silence is not deception, but if you speak, it must be truth. That's going to be exhausting. Welcome to Kalhari courtship. Her skin shifts to something that might be amusement. Would you like to practice? Practice lying, practice honesty. She turns to face me fully. I'll ask you a question and you answer truthfully. Then you ask me one. My heart starts doing that thing again. Okay, why did you really accept my proposal? Oh, we're starting with the hard questions. I take a breath. The resonance marker on my temple warms slightly, as if anticipating my response. Because the alternative is war. Because I believe you're genuinely trying to stop it. And because I hesitate, but the marker grows warmer, encouraging truth. Because I wanted an excuse to spend more time with you, even if it's under ridiculous circumstances. Her skin flashes through a dozen colors, finally settling on a soft rose gold. That was honest. It was terrifying. Your turn to ask. Do you actually want to marry me, or am I just a convenient diplomatic tool? She's quiet for so long I think she might not answer. Then, both. You are diplomatically convenient. You are also the first person from another species I've ever genuinely enjoyed talking to. The first person who makes me want to laugh during treaty negotiations. The first person who... She trails off, her skin doing something I've never seen before, a cascade of colors like a waterfall. The first person who makes me want to know what a true resonance bond feels like. The corridor suddenly feels very small. Arya chooses this moment to chime in. Doctor. Webb, your heart rate is now 63% elevated. Should I... Arya, commentary protocols off. Acknowledged, resuming observations in silent mode. Selith's crystals chime with laughter. She really does have perfect timing. She's a menace. She's delightful. We start walking again and somehow our hands brush against each other. Where we touch, I see light bloom, her bioluminescence responding to the contact. She doesn't pull away. 29 more days, I say. 29 more days of absolute honesty. This is going to be interesting. That, she says, her skin shimmering with what I'm certain is mischief, is the understatement of the solar cycle. Day 1 of the trial, I accidentally tell Admiral Chen that her new haircut makes her look like she lost a fight with a hedge trimmer. She threatens to have me court-martialed. I explain about the trial. She's not sympathetic. Day 2, I tell a Kalhari diplomat that his lengthy speech about territorial sovereignty was boring and repetitive. He challenges me to a formal debate. I lose. Selith finds this hilarious. Day 3, during a joint breakfast meeting, someone asks if I'm enjoying the food. It's a gelatinous substance that tastes like feet. I say, it tastes like feet, but I appreciate the cultural experience. The chef looks devastated. Selith has to excuse herself because she's laughing so hard her skin is strobing. This trial is going to kill my diplomatic career, I tell her later in the observation garden. Perhaps, she says, sipping her sharma, but you've never been more authentically yourself. It's refreshing. It's mortifying. Also that. We've fallen back into our morning routine, but now there's an added layer of tension. Every conversation feels weighted with possibility. Every accidental touch sends light patterns racing across her skin. On day 5, I ask her, what do Kalhari marriages actually involve? She sets down her cup. A resonance ceremony. The couple stands in the Chamber of Harmonies and sings their truth to each other while the witnesses observe. If their frequencies align, if their truths harmonize, the bond is recognized. I can't sing. Everyone can sing. Some just make more interesting sounds than others. That's a polite way of saying I'll sound terrible. I'm required to be honest now too, remember. Her skin shifts to playful amber. Yes, you'll probably sound terrible, but it's about the attempt, not the perfection. What if our frequencies don't align? Then we tried and that matters. Arya interjects. Statistically, cross-species harmonic alignment has a success rate of 0%, as it's never been attempted before. Arya, you're really not helping. I'm providing relevant data. Selith laughs. I'm beginning to understand why you threaten to disable her so frequently. On day 7, the trial gets harder. We're in a negotiation session, humans on one side, Kalhari on the other, trying to hash out mining rights. Admiral Chen asks me if I think the Kalhari position on subsurface extraction is reasonable. The honest answer is yes. Their environmental concerns are completely valid, and human mining operations have been reckless. But saying that out loud in front of my own delegation feels like betrayal. The resonance marker on my temple grows warm, waiting. Yes, I say quietly. Their concerns about ecosystem disruption are scientifically sound. Our current extraction methods are unsustainable. Admiral Chen's face goes through several emotions. The Kalahari delegation looks surprised. Selith's skin flashes a brief, approving gold. After the session, Chen pulls me aside. Webb, what the hell was that? The truth, Admiral, I'm contractually obligated to it for the next 23 days. You just undermined our negotiating position. I validated a reasonable concern. There's a difference. I take a breath, and honestly, maybe we need to hear some uncomfortable truths if we want to actually solve this. She stares at me. You've changed. I'm just not hiding anymore. That night, Selith finds me in the observation garden. I'm sitting on our usual bench, watching the stars and trying not to think about how I've probably ruined my career. That was brave today, she says, sitting beside me. That was stupid today. Bravery and stupidity often look similar. She hands me a cup of murha. But you spoke truth when it was difficult. That's the entire point of the trial. I'm not sure I'm going to make it 30 days. You're already 7 days in. That's 7 more than most humans would manage. We sit in comfortable silence for a while. Then she asks, what would you be doing right now if we weren't in the middle of a diplomatic crisis? Probably analyzing bacterial samples on Europa Station and complaining about the cafeteria food. That sounds peaceful. It was lonely. The words come out before I can stop them, pulled by the requirement for truth. I was good at my job, but I was lonely. Her skin does that soft dawn pink thing again. I understand that. Command is often isolating. Is that why you have breakfast with me every morning? Yes. She turns to look at me. Also because you're the only person who laughs at my terrible jokes about gravitational anomalies. They're not terrible. They're endearingly nerdy. That's the kindest thing anyone has ever said about my humor. Our hands are close on the bench. I can see the light patterns dancing across her skin, responsive and alive. Can I ask you something? I say, you can ask me anything. When this is over, if we make it through the trial, if the war actually stops, what happens to us? She's quiet for a long moment. Then, I don't know, our peoples will still be separate. Our lives will still be complicated. But I think, she hesitates, I think I would like to find out. Yeah, I say, me too. Arya, in silent observation mode, saves a note in my personal file, day 7. Subject appears to have forgotten he's not supposed to fall in love with the alien commander. Prognosis: complicated. On day 12, everything goes sideways. We're in the middle of a formal cultural exchange dinner, one of those elaborate affairs where both species try to show off their best food and most impressive table manners. I'm seated next to Selith, trying to navigate a dish that involves bioluminescent vegetables and what I'm pretty sure is some kind of singing meat. This is actually delicious, I tell her honestly. Don't sound so surprised. I'm not surprised, I'm impressed. There's a difference. She's about to respond when Admiral Chen stands up to give a toast. Standard diplomatic stuff about cooperation and mutual understanding. Everyone's nodding along, very formal. Then one of the human delegates, a colonial authority representative named Morrison, who I've disliked since day 1, stands up. I'd like to propose my own toast, he says with a smile that makes my stomach sink. To Dr. Webb and Commander Vri, may their diplomatic marriage serve its strategic purpose, and may we all remember that personal feelings have no place in matters of interstellar security. The room goes very quiet. Selith's skin flashes a dangerous red. Morrison continues, apparently unable to read a room. After all, we're all professionals here. No one actually believes this arrangement is anything more than a legal technicality. Right, Doctor? Webb, every eye in the room turns to me. The resonance marker on my temple grows warm, hot, demanding truth. I could agree with him. It would be the politically safe answer. It would protect both Selith and me from accusations of letting emotions compromise our judgment. But it would be a lie. I stand up slowly. Actually, Morrison, I disagree. Oh. This arrangement started as a legal technicality, but somewhere between day 1 and day 12, it became something more, at least for me. I look at Selith. Her skin is cycling through colors so fast it's dizzying. I care about Commander Vree, not because it's strategically advantageous, not because it helps negotiations, but because she's brilliant and funny and makes me want to be more honest than I've ever been in my life. The silence is deafening. Morrison looks like he's swallowed something unpleasant. Admiral Chen has her head in her hands. The Kalhari delegation is humming softly, a sound of surprise and approval. Selith stands up. And I care about Dr. Webb because he is the first human who has ever looked at me and seen a person rather than a military asset. Because he makes terrible jokes about bacterial samples, and because his honesty, even when it's inconvenient, is the most refreshing thing I've experienced in my entire military career. Her skin settles into a brilliant, defiant gold. Morrison tries to recover. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Personal feelings are what make us more than military assets, Selith interrupts. Are what make peace worth fighting for. Are what your species claims to value above all else. I add, and if you have a problem with that, Morrison, then honestly, I don't particularly care about your opinion. The resonance marker on my temple doesn't even warm. Pure truth. Admiral Chen stands up. I think this dinner is over. Everyone dismissed. As the room clears, Selith grabs my hand. Come with me. She pulls me through the corridors of the station until we reach a section I've never seen before. The walls here are made of some transparent material that shows the stars beyond, and there are plants growing everywhere, the kind that change color based on emotional resonance. This is the garden of true hearts, she says, where Kalhari come when they need to think clearly. The plants around us are glowing soft pink and gold. Responding to her, I realize, to her emotions. I'm sorry, I say. I probably just made everything worse. You made everything honest. She turns to face me and her skin is doing that waterfall cascade thing again. Do you mean what you said about caring for me? Yes, every word. Even though it complicates everything, especially because it complicates everything. She laughs, a sound like crystal bells. You are very strange, Marcus Webb. You say that like it's a good thing. It is. She steps closer. The plants around us start glowing brighter. In Kalhari culture, we have a concept called Shelvara. It means the person who makes your truth visible. I think you are my Shelvara. What does that mean? It means I see myself more clearly when I'm with you. It means your honesty calls forth my own. Her crystals chime softly. It means I'm falling in love with you and I don't know what to do about it. My heart stops, restarts, decides to beat at approximately 3 times its normal speed. Arya, I subvocalize, tell me I'm not having a stress-induced hallucination. You're not having a hallucination. You are, however, having a significant romantic moment. Try not to ruin it. I look at Selith, this incredible, impossible person who's glowing like a sunset and looking at me like I'm something precious. I'm falling in love with you too, I say, and I think what we do about it is see what happens when we stop fighting it. She reaches up and touches the resonance marker on my temple. 18 more days of truth. 18 more days of figuring this out. Together. The plants around us explode into brilliant color, golds and pinks and purples that dance across the walls like aurora borealis. Selith laughs and I kiss her. Her skin is warm against mine, and where we touch, I feel patterns of light pulsing in rhythm with both our heartbeats. She tastes like starlight and thunderstorms, and when we finally pull apart, I'm dizzy with it. Well, she says, her skin glowing so bright I could probably read by it. That was worth 18 days of radical honesty. We should probably figure out what happens next. Yes. Her expression turns serious. Morrison is going to report this. Your government will likely try to remove you from the negotiations. Let them try, I'm not going anywhere. You're very stubborn. You say that like it's a good thing. It is. Arya chimes in. Hate to interrupt your moment, actually, that's inaccurate. I don't experience hate, but I should inform you that Admiral Chen is requesting an immediate private meeting with Dr. Webb. Of course she is, I mutter. Selith squeezes my hand. Go, be honest with her. I'll handle my government. What are you going to tell them? The truth, that I've fallen in love with a human scientist who talks to his AI companion and makes terrible jokes and is the bravest person I've ever met. I'm going to get us both court-martialed. Probably, but we'll be court-martialed together. Admiral Chen is waiting in her private office and she does not look happy. Sit down, Webb. I sit. I just received a very angry message from the Colonial Authority. Morrison filed a formal complaint alleging that you've compromised the negotiations through inappropriate emotional attachment to a member of the opposing force. That's accurate, actually. She blinks. You're not even going to deny it. I can't. Trial of absolute transparency, remember. I'm literally incapable of lying for the next 18 days. Webb, do you understand what you've done? If the Colonial Authority decides you're compromised, they can pull you out of here, void the harmonious provision clause, and we're back to war. I understand. Then why did you? She stops, takes a breath. Why did you publicly declare your feelings for Commander Vree? Because Morrison asked if the marriage was just a legal technicality, and the honest answer was no. It stopped being a technicality around day 5. When I realized I was looking forward to seeing her more than I was looking forward to potentially not starting a war. Chen stares at me. You're in love with her. Yes. And this isn't some Stockholm Syndrome situation or cultural contamination or, Admiral, with all due respect, I'm a trained xenobiologist with extensive first contact experience. I know the difference between genuine emotional connection and psychological manipulation. This is real. She leans back in her chair. Morrison is pushing for a tribunal. Wants to formally review your conduct and determine if you're fit to continue the negotiations. When? Tomorrow. And Webb, it won't be friendly. They're going to try to prove you've been compromised, that your judgment is impaired, that everything you've done since meeting Vree has been emotionally motivated rather than professionally sound. Some of it has been. That's not helping your case. It's the truth. She looks at me for a long moment. You've really changed, you know that. 3 weeks ago, you would have spun this 6 different ways to protect your career. 3 weeks ago, I was hiding behind comfortable lies. Now I can't afford to. And you think that makes you a better diplomat. I think it makes me a better person. Whether that's the same thing, I honestly don't know. She sighs. Get some rest. You're going to need it for tomorrow. The tribunal is held in the Chamber of Collective Wisdom, a massive amphitheater where both human and Kalahari officials gather for formal proceedings. It's designed in the Kalahari artistic legal tradition, which means instead of a boring courtroom, it's a space where statements are presented as performances, with music and light displays accompanying testimony. I'm standing in the center of the chamber, surrounded by representatives from both governments. Morrison is there looking smug. Admiral Chen is there looking concerned. Selith is there, her skin carefully neutral silver. The tribunal is presided over by a joint council, 3 humans, 3 Kalahari. The head of the council, a stern-looking Kalahari named Arbitron Kale, speaks first. We are here to evaluate whether Dr. Marcus Webb has maintained professional integrity during the diplomatic negotiations, or whether his emotional attachment to Supreme Commander Selith Vree has compromised his ability to serve humanity's interests. Morrison stands to present his case. The evidence is clear. Dr. Webb has repeatedly sided with the Kalahari position, has entered into a binding legal arrangement with their military commander, and has publicly declared romantic feelings that directly conflict with his duty to represent human interests. All true, I say. Morrison looks surprised that I'm agreeing with him. However, I continue, You're framing it as if emotional investment and professional competence are mutually exclusive. They're not. Arbitron Kale gestures for me to continue. Explain. I sided with the Kalahari position on environmental concerns because their science was sound and our mining practices were objectively harmful. That's not emotional compromise. That's recognizing valid expertise. I entered into the marriage arrangement because it was the best available option to stop a war, and yes, because I've developed feelings for Commander Vree. But those feelings don't negate the strategic value of the arrangement. Morrison interrupts. And what happens when your personal interests conflict with humanity's interests? They already have, I say honestly. And I chose what I thought was right rather than what was convenient. One of the Human Council members, a woman named Director Sato, leans forward. Can you give us an example? Day 7. During negotiations, Admiral Chen asked if I thought the Kalahari environmental position was reasonable. The politically safe answer was no. The honest answer was yes. I chose honesty, even though it undermined our negotiating leverage, because I believed truth was more important than tactical advantage in that moment. And you think that was the right choice? Morrison demands. I think it was the only choice that had any integrity. Selith stands up. May I speak? Arbitron Kale nods. Commander Vree, you may address the council. She moves to stand beside me. Where she stands, the floor begins to glow, responding to her presence. I have worked with dozens of human diplomats over the years. They were all professionally competent. They were all carefully neutral. And they were all fundamentally dishonest in small ways that added up to making real connection impossible. She turns to look at me. Marcus Webb is different. Yes, he has feelings for me. Yes, those feelings have influenced some of his decisions. But for the first time in these negotiations, I feel like I'm talking to someone who actually sees me as a person rather than an obstacle to overcome. One of the Kalahari Council members hums thoughtfully. And you believe this personal connection has helped negotiations. I believe it's the only reason negotiations haven't completely collapsed. Because when two people actually trust each other, even if they're from different species with different goals, they can find solutions that serve everyone. Morrison scoffs. This is exactly the problem. You're both so caught up in your feelings that you can't see. Can I ask you a question, Morrison? I interrupt. He looks annoyed. What? Do you actually want peace or do you just want to win? That's not a fair question. I'm required to be honest. You should try it. I turn to address the whole council. Here's the truth. Yes, I have feelings for Commander Vree. Yes, those feelings complicate things. But they also gave me a reason to care about finding a solution that works for both our peoples. Because I don't just want humanity to survive this conflict. I want the Kalahari to survive it too. And maybe that makes me a bad human representative, but I think it makes me a better person. The chamber is silent. Then, from the back, Arya's voice comes through the chamber's speaker system. If I may offer a statistical observation. Arya, how did you access the tribunal speakers? I'm programmed for adaptability. Dr. Webb has a 94% honesty rating over the past 12 days, significantly higher than any other human diplomat in recorded history. His emotional investment has made him more truthful, not less competent. Thank you, Arya. You're still getting your commentary protocols reviewed. Worth it. Arbitron Kale's skin shifts to an amused amber. Your artificial companion is quite persistent. She grows on you. Like a particularly insightful fungus, Arya adds. Despite everything, several council members laugh. Director Sato speaks up. Dr. Webb, let me ask you directly. If you had to choose between humanity's strategic interests and Commander Vree's safety, what would you choose? The resonance marker on my temple grows warm, demanding truth. I would try to find a solution that protects both, I say carefully. But if I absolutely had to choose, I don't know. And I think admitting that I don't know is more honest than pretending I'd automatically choose my own species. That's a dangerous answer, Morrison says. It's a human answer, Selith counters. Humans are supposed to value love and connection and the ability to see beyond tribal boundaries. Marcus is embodying what your species claims to believe in. The council members confer among themselves, a mix of whispered conversation and harmonic humming. Finally, Arbitron Kale speaks. We have reached a decision, Doctor. Marcus Webb will remain as the primary human liaison for these negotiations. However, his relationship with Commander Vree will be formally documented and monitored to ensure it does not compromise future negotiations. Morrison looks like he wants to protest, but one of the human council members cuts him off. Morrison, sit down. The tribunal has spoken. As the chamber empties, Selith and I stand together in the center of the glowing floor. That could have gone worse, I say. That could have gone much worse. 18 more days of this. She takes my hand. 18 more days of truth. Think you can handle it? With you? Yeah, I think I can. Arya chimes in one more time. Heart rate elevated but stable. Emotional state cautiously optimistic. Prognosis still complicated but improving. Arya, I'm buying you a mute button. You've threatened that 493 times now. I remain unmuted. Selith laughs, and the sound fills the chamber like music. On day 15, the Kalhari government invites me to participate in the ceremony of shared sustenance, a formal ritual where potential bond mates prepare and consume a meal together while their families and governments observe. So it's like a very public dinner date where everyone watches us eat. I ask Selith during our morning meeting in the observation garden. Essentially, yes. Except the food preparation is symbolic of how well we can cooperate on a fundamental survival task, and if we fail to create an edible meal, it's considered a bad omen for the marriage. No pressure then. None whatsoever. Her skin does that mischief shimmer. Also, the meal must be made from Kreshala, a plant that releases a paralytic toxin if prepared incorrectly. I stare at her. You're joking. I am incapable of joking during the trial, remember. We could actually poison ourselves during our own engagement ceremony. Only if we're careless or incompatible. Arya interjects. I've downloaded the preparation instructions for Kreshala. The margin for error is approximately 4 millimeters during the slicing process and 30 seconds during the heat application phase. Failure rate for first-time preparers, 67%. Arya, those statistics are not comforting. You asked for accuracy, not comfort. Selith's crystals chime with laughter. Your artificial companion really does have a gift for timing. She's going to get me killed via paralytic plant toxin. If it helps, I've prepared Kreshala 3 times before. I've only been mildly poisoned twice. That does not help. The ceremony of shared sustenance takes place in the Grand Culinary Hall, a massive kitchen designed like an amphitheater, with our cooking station in the center, and seating for approximately 200 observers rising up around us. I'm wearing formal Kalhari ceremonial attire that Selith helped me select, a robe made of some fabric that shifts colors based on my body temperature. Currently, it's displaying my anxiety in swirls of pale blue and nervous green. You look terrified, Admiral Chen says as she takes her seat in the human delegation section. I'm about to cook a potentially lethal plant in front of 2 governments while my relationship is under scrutiny. Terrified is accurate. At least you're honest about it. I literally can't be anything else. The Kalhari delegation is already seated, their skin creating a tapestry of colors across their section. Morrison is there too, looking like he's hoping I'll poison myself and solve his problem for him. Selith enters wearing a ceremonial gown that makes her look like she's made of liquid starlight. Her crystals are arranged in an intricate pattern that, Arya helpfully informs me, signifies hope tempered with appropriate caution. Ready? She asks, taking her place beside me at the cooking station. Absolutely not. But let's do this anyway. Arbitron Kale stands to address the assembled crowd. We gather to witness the ceremony of shared sustenance between Supreme Commander Selith Vree and Dr. Marcus Webb. Through this ritual, they will demonstrate their ability to cooperate, communicate, and create nourishment together. The preparation of Kreshala requires perfect harmony between partners. May their efforts be blessed. A ceremonial gong sounds, and attendants bring out the Kreshala plant. It's beautiful, a flowering vegetable with petals that glow softly purple and stems that pulse with bioluminescence. It's also apparently capable of paralyzing me if we mess up. Okay, Selith says quietly. First step, we each select one flower. They must be symmetrical in size or the toxin concentration will be unbalanced. We examine the plant together. I'm about to reach for one when she gently redirects my hand to a different flower. That one, it matches mine. How can you tell? The pulse rhythm, see. She holds her selected flower next to mine. The bioluminescent pulses are perfectly synchronized. I would have chosen the wrong one. That's why we're doing this together. We work through the preparation. She guides, I follow. We occasionally switch roles when my human perspective offers a different angle. The crowd watches in silence except for occasional harmonic humming from the Kalhari delegation. Now the critical part, Selith says. We have to slice the stem at exactly the right angle and depth, 4 millimeters. If we cut too deep, we rupture the toxin sacs. Too shallow and the flesh won't cook properly. Arya, can you give me a visual reference for 4 millimeters? A small holographic guide appears in my vision through my neural implant. 4 millimeters marked. Try not to kill yourself. Your encouragement is overwhelming. Selith and I position our knives. On 3, she says, and Marcus. Yeah, trust yourself, trust us. We cut together. The stems part cleanly and a sweet smell fills the air, like honey and ozone. No bitter scent, which Arya informs me would indicate we've ruptured the toxin sacs. Good, Selith breathes. Now we heat process them simultaneously. 30 seconds exactly. We place the prepared Kreshala into the ceremonial heating vessels, elegant crystal containers that warm through harmonic resonance. Selith begins to hum a specific frequency, and I join her, trying to match her pitch. My singing is, as predicted, terrible, but I'm trying. The crowd watches as we hum together, our voices creating a harmony that's imperfect but earnest. The heating vessels begin to glow, responding to our combined frequencies. 20 seconds, Arya counts in my head. 15, 10. At exactly 30 seconds, we both stop humming and remove the vessels. The Kreshala has transformed. The purple petals now shimmer gold, and the toxic bioluminescence has faded to a safe, warm glow. We did it, I say. We did it, Selith echoes, her skin blazing with triumphant gold. The next step is to feed each other the prepared Kreshala, a symbolic act of trust. Selith goes first, offering me a piece of the flower on a ceremonial spoon. If this kills me, I say quietly, I want you to know it was worth it. It won't kill you, I wouldn't let it. I eat the Kreshala. It tastes like starlight feels, bright and ineffable and absolutely worth the risk. No numbness, no paralysis, just an incredible flavor that makes me understand why this ceremony exists. Then it's my turn to feed her. My hands are shaking slightly as I offer her the spoon. Nervous? She asks. Terrified I somehow messed it up and I'm about to poison the woman I love in front of 2 governments. Her skin flashes through a dozen colors. You just said you love me. The trial demands honesty. I smile. Also, it's true. She eats the Kreshala, and for a moment I hold my breath, waiting for any sign of distress. Instead, she starts laughing, a sound of pure joy that fills the hall. It's perfect, she says. Marcus, it's absolutely perfect. The crowd erupts in harmonic humming, approval from the Kalhari, applause from the humans. Even Morrison looks grudgingly impressed. Arbitron Kale stands again. The ceremony of shared sustenance has been completed successfully. The bond between Selith Vree and Marcus Webb has been witnessed and approved. As the ceremony ends and the crowd begins to disperse, Selith pulls me aside to a small alcove off the main hall. You said you love me, she says quietly. I did. In front of everyone. I could not say it. Trial of absolute transparency, remember, and also, I wanted to. Her crystals chime softly. In Kalahari culture, declaring love during the ceremony of shared sustenance is considered incredibly auspicious. It means the bond is not just strategic or convenient, but genuine. Is that good? It's everything. She takes both my hands. I love you too, Marcus Webb, and I don't care who knows it. Arya chooses this moment to pipe up. Physiological readings indicate mutual elevated emotional states consistent with what humans call being disgustingly in love. Congratulations. Arya, that's actually sweet. I'm experimenting with supportive commentary. How am I doing? Surprisingly well. Selith laughs and kisses me, and the alcove fills with light from her skin, joy made visible. On day 20, the war almost starts anyway. A human mining ship, apparently not informed about the ongoing negotiations, crosses into Kalahari defensive territory. A Kalahari patrol ship fires a warning shot. The mining ship, panicking, sends a distress signal claiming they're under attack. Within hours, both fleets are on high alert, and the fragile peace is hanging by a thread. Admiral Chen calls an emergency meeting. Webb, we need the Kalahari to stand down immediately, or Earth Command is going to authorize a preemptive strike. Can't you just explain it was a miscommunication? I'm trying, but their fleet commander is refusing to back down until they receive assurances directly from Selith. And Selith is in emergency council with her own government. I find Selith in the chamber of strategic deliberation, surrounded by Kalahari military officials who are arguing in rapid, harmonic bursts. Her skin is cycling through stress patterns, reds and dark purples. Selith, I say from the doorway. She looks up, relief flashing across her skin. Marcus, I need your help. Whatever you need. My government wants to interpret the mining ship incident as a violation of the ceasefire terms. They're calling for immediate retaliation. It was a mistake. The ship didn't know about the negotiations. I know, but I need to convince them of that, and I need human confirmation that it won't happen again. We spend the next 3 hours in a desperate diplomatic scramble, me coordinating with Admiral Chen, Selith arguing with her military council, both of us trying to prevent a war from starting over a navigation error. At one point, Selith's military advisor, a stern Kalahari named General Torvex, confronts us both. Commander Vree, your judgment is compromised by your attachment to the human. How can we trust that you're acting in Kalahari interests? Before Selith can respond, I step forward. Because she's the most principled person I've ever met, and because preventing unnecessary death is in everyone's interests. And if you can't see that, General, then respectfully, your judgment is the one that's compromised. The chamber goes silent. Torvex's skin flashes an angry red. You dare to. I dare to tell the truth, I interrupt, which I'm contractually obligated to do for the next 10 days, but which I do anyway because someone needs to say it. This incident was an accident. Both sides are looking for an excuse to fight because fighting is familiar and peace is terrifying. But if you start a war over this, thousands will die, and for what? Pride. Selith's skin shifts to a determined gold. Marcus is right. We can choose violence, or we can choose to be better than our fears. I know which option honors our people more. General Torvex stares at us both. Then slowly, his skin shifts to a thoughtful amber. You are either very brave or very foolish human. Probably both, I admit. Commander Vree is fortunate to have found a bond mate with such conviction. He turns to the council. I recommend we accept the human explanation and reinforce the navigation protocols to prevent future incidents. The council agrees, crisis averted. Afterwards, Selith and I collapse in the observation garden exhausted. We almost lost everything today, she says quietly. But we didn't. Only because you were willing to yell at a Kalahari general. Only because you were willing to stand up to your own government. She leans against me, her head resting on my shoulder. 10 more days of the trial. 10 more days of truth. And then we figure out what comes next, together. Arya, blessedly quiet for once, simply logs the moment in my personal file. Day 20. Subjects prevented war through radical honesty and mutual trust. Prognosis, still complicated but significantly more hopeful. On day 25, Selith asks me a question I'm not prepared for. We're in the observation garden, our usual morning meeting spot, watching the stars as we've done for almost a month now. "Marcus," she says quietly, "what happens after day 30? We complete the trial. The marriage becomes officially valid. The war stays stopped. And then, I know what she's really asking. And then we have to figure out if this can actually work, long term, between two people from different species, different worlds, different lives. Do you think it can?" The resonance marker on my temple warms, waiting for truth. "I don't know," I say honestly. "I want it to. I want it so badly it scares me, but I don't know if wanting something is enough." Her skin shifts through melancholy blues. "Neither do I." We sit in silence for a while. Then she says, "The resonance ceremony, the final marriage ritual, happens on day 30. We'll have to sing our truths to each other in front of witnesses. I remember, you warned me I'd sound terrible. You will, but that's not what I'm worried about." She turns to look at me. "In the ceremony, we have to speak aloud the deepest truth of our hearts. The thing we're most afraid to say. If we can't, or if our truths are incompatible, the marriage is void." "What's your deepest truth?" "I'll tell you on day 30. "What's yours?" I think about it, about everything we've been through, about the war and the trial and the impossible choice to love someone from across the stars. "I'm afraid," I say quietly. "I'm afraid that no matter how much we love each other, the universe won't let us keep it. That our governments or our duties or just the sheer impossibility of it all will tear us apart. And I'm afraid that when that happens, I'll regret opening my heart to you." She's quiet for a long moment. Then, "Would you do it differently? If you could go back to day 1, knowing everything you know now, would you still say yes to the proposal?" "Yes," I say without hesitation, "every single time." Her skin blooms into sunrise colors, hope and fear and love all mixed together. Then maybe that's enough. Maybe choosing each other again and again is what makes impossible things possible. That's very poetic. I'm allowed to be poetic when I'm in love. You're in love. Desperately, terrifyingly, completely. I kiss her, and the plants around us respond to our combined emotions, glowing so bright that for a moment, the garden looks like a small galaxy. Arya, in silent observation mode, adds a note. Day 25. Subjects have accepted that love doesn't come with guarantees. Emotional maturity improving. Prognosis uncertain but genuine. Day 30 arrives faster than I'm ready for. The Chamber of Harmonies is packed with witnesses from both governments. The walls are designed to amplify sound, turning every voice into music. It's beautiful and terrifying. Selith and I stand in the center of the chamber, facing each other. She's wearing a ceremonial gown that makes her look like she's woven from light itself. I'm wearing formal human attire that feels inadequate in comparison, but she insisted I'd look perfectly Marcus in it. Arbitron Kale explains the final ceremony to the assembled crowd. In the Kalahari tradition, a true bond is created when two people speak their deepest truth to each other without shame or concealment. Today, Commander Vree and Dr. Webb will do exactly that. If their truths harmonize, if they can accept each other fully with all their fears and flaws, the bond will be recognized as genuine and eternal. No pressure, I mutter. Selith's skin flickers with nervous amusement. None whatsoever. Commander Vree, Arbitron Kale says, speak your truth. Selith takes a breath, and her crystals begin to resonate, a sound like distant bells. When she speaks, her voice carries through the chamber, enhanced by the acoustics into something that sounds like a song. My deepest truth is this. I am afraid that I am not enough. Not for my people, not for this responsibility, and not for you, Marcus Webb. I have spent my entire life being what others needed me to be, a commander, a leader, a symbol of strength. But with you, I want to be simply myself. And I am terrified that myself, without all the armor and duty, might be disappointing. Her voice cracks slightly on the last word, and I see her skin flash through vulnerable pinks and silvers. The chamber is absolutely silent. Dr. Webb, Arbitron Kale says, "Speak your truth." I look at Selith, this incredible woman who just admitted her deepest fear to a room full of witnesses, and I know there's only one truth worth speaking. My deepest truth is this. I spent 30 years believing that safety meant never letting anyone too close, that if I just stayed small and careful and professional, I could avoid getting hurt. And then I met you, and you demolished every defense I had. You made me want to be braver, more honest, more myself. And yes, I'm afraid of losing you. I'm afraid of the distance between our worlds and the weight of our duties and all the impossible logistics. But I'm more afraid of going back to the safe, small life I had before you. Because you, Selith Vri, have made me believe that impossible things are worth fighting for. My voice echoes through the chamber, and I realize I'm crying. Not from sadness, from the sheer relief of finally saying it all out loud. Selith is crying too, her tears catching the light and glowing softly. Arbitron Kale steps forward. The truths have been spoken. Now we discover if they harmonize. The resonance arbiters begin to hum, a deep thrumming note that fills the chamber. They're listening for something, some frequency that indicates compatibility. Selith reaches for my hand, and where we touch, light blooms between us, patterns that pulse in rhythm with both our heartbeats. "Sing with me," she whispers. "It doesn't matter if you're terrible, just try." She begins to hum a melody, something simple and beautiful. I join her, my voice rough and uncertain next to her crystalline perfection. But as we sing together, something shifts. The chamber begins to resonate with us, amplifying and blending our voices until I can't tell where her sound ends and mine begins. The arbiter's humming intensifies, and suddenly the entire chamber is filled with light and sound, a harmony that shouldn't be possible between two such different beings. But it is possible. We're making it possible. When the song finally fades, Arbitron Kale's skin is blazing with an odd gold. I have presided over 347 bonding ceremonies in my life, he says quietly. I have never witnessed a harmonic resonance this powerful between bondmates of the same species, let alone across species. Your truths do not just harmonize, they create something entirely new. He raises his voice to address the crowd. I declare the bond between Selith Vri and Marcus Webb to be genuine, valid, and eternal. May it bring light to both their peoples. The chamber erupts in celebration, harmonic humming from the Kalhari, applause from the humans, and somewhere in the back, Arya playing a triumphant fanfare through the speakers. Selith pulls me into a kiss that makes the whole chamber glow even brighter. When we finally break apart, she's laughing and crying and glowing like a supernova. "We did it," she says. 30 days, we actually did it. "We did it," I echo. "Now what?" "Now," she says, her skin shifting through every color of happiness, "we figure out how to make forever work." The treaty is signed 1 week later. Human mining operations will be restructured with Kalhari environmental oversight. Kalhari defensive perimeters will be clearly marked and respected. Both species will establish a joint council for dispute resolution, co-chaired by Admiral Chen and General Torvex, who have apparently bonded over their mutual exasperation with Selith and me. Morrison, notably, is reassigned to a desk job on Earth. I don't ask questions. The war is over. Not because one side won, but because two people chose honesty over strategy and love over fear. On the day the treaty takes effect, Selith and I stand in the observation garden one last time before I'm scheduled to return to human space for debriefing. "This isn't goodbye," she says, though her skin betrays her worry with nervous silvers. "It's not goodbye," I agree. It's just complicated. Everything about us is complicated. True, but we're good at complicated. She takes my hand. I've been offered a position on the Joint Council. Permanent assignment to the diplomatic station. I'd be liaising between our governments for the foreseeable future. That's amazing. You'd be perfect for it. You would too, if you wanted it. There's a human liaison position open. It's yours if you want it. I stare at her. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a choice. You can go back to Europa Station and your bacterial samples and your quiet life. Or you can stay here, work beside me, and help build something new between our peoples. Neither choice is wrong. The resonance marker is long gone from my temple. The trial ended days ago. But I've gotten used to leading with truth, even when it's complicated. I want to stay, I say. I want to wake up every morning and have Murha with you and argue about environmental policy and maybe, eventually, figure out what a life together actually looks like. Her skin blazes with joy. That's good, because I already accepted the position on your behalf. You what? Admiral Chen and I had a conversation. She said, and I quote, "If Webb wants to stay with his glowing alien wife and make the rest of us look bad by being disgustingly happy, he has my blessing." She did not say that. She did. Arya recorded it. Would you like me to play the audio? Arya chimes in. I can confirm the Admiral used the phrase disgustingly happy 3 times during the conversation. She also made me promise to keep you out of trouble. That's an impossible promise. I informed her of that. She said to do my best. Selith laughs and I kiss her, and somewhere in the distance, I hear the sounds of both our peoples moving forward together. Imperfect, complicated, but genuinely trying. Marry me and I'll stop the war, I say quietly against her lips. You already married me, she points out. I know, but I wanted to say it because you did stop the war. We both did. What was the condition again? 30 days of absolute honesty. Her skin does that mischief shimmer. And did it drive you crazy? Completely insane. Best 30 days of my life. Mine too. We stand there in the observation garden, watching the stars and holding each other. 2 impossible people who chose each other anyway. The universe is vast and strange and full of challenges we haven't even imagined yet. But we have something the universe can't take away. A choice we keep making every single day. To be honest, to be brave, to be together. Arya, in what might be her finest moment of commentary ever, simply says, "Prognosis, complicated, imperfect, and absolutely worth it." And for once I don't threaten to disable her, because she's absolutely right. 6 months later, Marcus Webb's personal log, entry 847. Turns out, married life with an alien military commander involves a lot of paperwork, several cross-cultural incidents involving food, and one memorable occasion where I accidentally insulted a Kalahari dignitary by complimenting their skin color in a way that apparently translates to your epidermis, suggests questionable life choices. Selith thought it was hilarious. The dignitary did not, but we're figuring it out. Day by day, truth by truth, together. The Joint Council is actually working. Human-Kalahari relations are improving. We've established 3 joint research stations and a cultural exchange program. Admiral Chen keeps threatening to write a book about our relationship titled, How to Accidentally End a War Through Poor Relationship Boundaries. I told her that's the worst title I've ever heard. She said that's why I'm not in marketing. Tonight, Selith and I are having dinner in the observation garden, our spot. She's making kreshala soup, which should be terrifying, but I trust her completely. Also, Arya has volunteered to monitor for poison, so we're probably fine. Probably. End log. In the observation garden, Selith looks up from the soup preparation and smiles at me, her skin glowing with contentment. "What are you thinking about?" she asks. "How you proposed to me by threatening me with 30 days of mandatory honesty." Best proposal ever, yes. Worst condition ever. And yet here we are. Here we are. She ladles soup into 2 bowls. Perfectly prepared, non-poisonous, absolutely delicious. We eat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars through the dome. Marcus, she says eventually, I have a confession. We're past the truth trial. You can tell me anything. I know, but I wanted to say it anyway. Her skin shifts through affectionate golds. When I first proposed, I didn't actually think we'd make it through 30 days. I thought you'd give up or I'd give up or we'd both realize it was impossible. What changed? You did. Or rather, you didn't. You stayed exactly who you were, even when it was hard, even when honesty was terrifying, and it made me want to be braver too. You're the bravest person I know. Only because you make me want to be. I reach across the table and take her hand. Marry me and I'll stop the war, I say again, the words that started everything. She squeezes my hand, her skin glowing bright enough to light the whole garden. You already did, my love. You already did. And somewhere in the background, Arya plays a soft harmonic chord, her version of approval. The war is over. The marriage is real. The future is uncertain and complicated and absolutely worth fighting for. Just like us.